Good evening and welcome to tonight's edition of The Probe. Tonight, I have questions, so many of them. I seek answers to why an explosion has killed a farmer, for instance. Is it not painful that suddenly, in a split of a second, hundreds of homes, in fact, over 500 homes have been razed to the ground, and scores of people have lost nearly everything they owned to a fire that ravaged their community? How did we get here? What really must have caused this incident? Was someone or institution negligent? How do we soothe the pain of the affected and rebuild the village called Apieti, now left in total ruins? Could the number of deaths have been less if residents were not in a hurry to satisfy their insatiable hunger or quest to become citizen journalists instead of being security conscious? There are many more questions than answers. Here are mine, so do send yours as well to The Probe, and let's probe the fundamental issues of our disaster preparedness as a people. Director General, Police Public Affairs, Kwesi Fori, will be with me here in the studio. Saji Amedonu, Deputy Coordinator, NATMO, is also my guest, and Senior Member of the Security Desk, Maxwell Agbagba, joins us live from the ground zero is the Apieti. This is The Probe with me, Emefa Apau, live on Joy News. We are on myjoyonline.com, Love 99.5 FM, DSTV 421, GoTV 144. We're on YouTube and also on Facebook. Stay with us here on The Probe. But behind me, I'm sure you can see this document by an Earth observation report by the Geospatial Unit of NATMO, and it's dated this year, 21/1/2022, and it talks about Apieti Chrome explosive blast, that particular incident, and this is an official report from NATMO on this. So this is the location of Apieti Chrome in the Prisia-Honi Valley district of the Western region, along the Bogosu-Bordier highway. This is where this incident has occurred that we are talking about now. Now, take a look at it. Let me just scroll down. Apieti Chrome before this particular blast on Thursday. This is how the town looks like. And this is a Google Street View document that we've seen there. This is how the town looked like before this particular blast that we recorded on Thursday. This is more of the town. It's still the Google Street View of Apieti Chrome, how it looked like before this particular blast. We still have more pictures of that particular town. And this town is between Bogosu and Bordier. Now, the structural impact of this blast, as happened on Thursday, these circles you see is that particular stretch, how far the blast went. So the impact was similar to that of a van, to a small size car vehicle bomb. That's how big it was. So the satellite imagery acquired on the 21st, 2022, that's this year, that's January, suggests approximately 140 buildings collapsed within a 150-meter shockwave radius. Now, the part of the released energy impacting the ground formed a crater, which we've seen in terms of the videos that we brought you so far, and has also generated a ground shockwave similar to a high-intensity, short-duration earthquake. So that's what was recorded that day. Now, this is the town after that particular incident, razed down. No building in sight. You've seen the before and the after picture. So this is after. This is how the town now looks like. And we are live on the ground tonight, and my colleague Maxwell Agbagba has been reporting. And the latest, he's also been interacting with that motorbike rider that we are told must have caused that incident. He's distancing himself from that particular narrative that has been put out there. That and more on tonight's edition of The Probe with me, Emefa Apau. Stay with us. We'll start probing shortly after the break. You're welcome back to The Probe here on the Joy News channel. We're also on myjoyonline.com. We're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, and you can send your questions in ahead. Shortly, we'll also be going live to Apieti to join my colleague Maxwell Agbagba. We're also expecting the Director General, Police Public Affairs, Kwesi Fori, to join us. But in the studios with me now is the Deputy Director General of NATMO, Saji Amedonu. Welcome to The Probe.
Thank you, Emma.
Good to see you once again. Another disaster has hit us, so we have to sit with you again.
Yeah, unfortunately.
And unfortunately. So tonight, I don't know what the update is in terms of, I know there are investigations underway. We'll touch on that briefly. But in terms of rescue operations, a number of people injured, those unfortunately who have passed, amongst others. What's the updates that we have?
Thank you, and good evening to your viewers too. Currently, as we speak, rescue operations ended that very day in the evening.
Okay.
And we were able to put actual numbers to the activities that were carried out. I'm sure you have noticed that earlier on the report was talking about 17 deaths, but actually at the close of day on that Thursday, we had recorded 13 deaths, and we had about 155 injuries, but 45 of them were quite critical, and some of them were actually sent to Konfanochi in Kumasi.
Okay.
Yes, and we have the total number of people affected is about 954 per our records, the data we gathered after our initial assessment. We have a male adult population of 225 affected, a female adult population of 280 affected. We have male children, about 180 of them. We have female children, 211. And we have the critically injured 45 out of the 155. The rest had minor injuries. They were treated, and they are with the people at the safe haven at the hotel. The hotel is housing the male victims, and the St. Michael Roman Catholic Parish is housing the children and their mothers and all the other females.
Okay. Well, the issue about the number of deaths recorded, 13, thankfully, it remains at 13. But the concern is also that the videos, for instance, that we saw, and then also the second blast or the third blast or so that we saw people going close to. Yeah. Is it the case that we may have lost more, but we cannot account for them?
No, as we speak, you know, immediately the incident happened, they were able to set up an incident command, a center where you had all the agencies that help in any disaster situation. The police, the fire service, NADMO, and headed by the district chief executive, in this case a municipal chief executive, and that is the disaster management committee. So they got to work immediately. And the town is not too large a town anyway. So they were able to cover almost every part of the town. Now, you know, we have 45 which are critical and in critical conditions. Well, the reports as we have as of now is that they are responding favorably. So we just hope that the number 13 will not increase. But there are some people in critical conditions. Even today, they had to move, with the help of the Air Force and so on, had to move people from one of the hospitals to another bigger hospital today.
We're told about an 11-year-old boy, for instance, who was also had to be airlifted amongst others. What's his situation? Exactly.
I have not gotten that immediately now, but I was given the report later this afternoon about the airlifting of, there were two, the 11-year-old and another person who were airlifted.
Okay. Now, rebuilding the town, you know, the president had charged your outfit, for instance, to work fast enough to get the people to return to normalcy, at least. They should return to their normal life as a town. What's the plan in place for that? Has that started? Have we started rebuilding Apieti?
Yes, there are some temporary measures that are being rolled out now. As we speak, the whole assembly, including the NADMO staff, the police, all of them, they are engaged in getting a place ready to move everybody there by tomorrow. Thankfully, we have some donations coming in for tents and other items, apart from the initial items that we sent as an organization. The Red Cross has come in with some tents. Goldfield has also come in with some tents. And the Regional Coordinating Council of the Western Region has also come in with some tents. Those tents are being erected, and at the same time, they are working on washroom facilities, temporary washroom facilities. So by close of day, they are hoping that by close of day, the place will be ready so that tomorrow they could move the people. And this time they might be in smaller units, because at the St. Michael's church, you know, they are in a big hall, everybody cramped together, and you know the challenges that also poses. But this tent, some of them hold up to 10 people, 8 people, so that this time they can be able to start, doing things the way they were doing before the incident happened, like cooking and other things. But as we speak, you know that it's the assembly that is preparing food for everyone. But this time when they go into their smaller units, then they can start regaining, or life becoming normal again after the incident. So that's what's happening.
Do we have any timelines? You've mentioned that at least by close of week, for instance. Do you have any specific days that, because they're all watching you right now and they need some assurances in terms of when exactly?
No, the movement will be done tomorrow. Yeah, the confirmation I got from the chief executive and our NADMO staff on the ground is that they want to try as much as possible to move the people tomorrow. That's why they are still working as we speak.
Okay. Well, the concern is that as a country, we are never prepared. At least we can't say that anybody is actually adequately prepared for any form of disaster. But it is also our ability to deal with such situations when we are faced with it. It appears that it's woefully inadequate when it comes to our preparedness for such disasters.
Well, yes, to some extent, you will never be able to fully prepare for a disaster, because the word disaster itself is an occurrence that does not give you any warning before it occurs. But as an organization, part of preparedness is information sharing. It's about education. It's about people knowing the hazards. It's about people following protocols. It's about people obeying bylaws. These are all part of preparation. It's not just any specific activity, but if we live in a certain locality, there will be laws regulating the life there. Example, not building on waterways. These are places where people should habit. This is where that kind of an arrangement. As a people, our responsibility is that we make sure we abide by those, because those laws were fashioned out of with the mind of making sure that the society functions very well. So yes, preparation, to some extent. We have a functional National Disaster Management Organization. As soon as the incident happened, you saw the activities that were carried out. At least some kind of readiness or preparations has been done. We know our disaster profile for the country. We know that at this particular time, the disasters we deal with are more of fires. Because, the Harmattan, and a lot of farmers do their burning this time, to start the new crop season and all that. So we know we deal with fires at this time. So already, our staffs were already in the communities educating people about the right way of doing bush burning, the do's and the don'ts and all that. So to some extent, yes. An incident like this, it took the whole country by surprise. It just happened. And fortunately, as a country, we had some arrangement to be able to contain the situation when it started. And we have done our best as a country to be able to manage the situation up to this point. We could have done better, but under the circumstance, this is what we have been able to do.
To what extent are you receiving individual institutions and other support in terms of relief for these people?
Yes, quite a lot of support. We are getting quite a lot of support. As we speak, today, even Ghana Gas visited the scene and went on to visit the victims too as well. And they presented a cash amount of 2 million Ghana cedis. Goldfields had also done some donation earlier, and some other organizations are coming in to do quite some donation to support the people. Yes.
Okay. Well, there are questions that are coming in. We'll get to it. But quickly, before I go to my colleague, Maxwell Agbagba, we're getting some residents complaining of missing relatives, amongst others. So the concern is, are we setting that 13 is actually the death toll? And have they checked thoroughly through the rubble to make sure there are no more bodies? What is the status of the investigations? That final bit will shelve for now. The status of investigations will shelve for now and delve into it pretty much later. But these are the concerns that they are raising. Have we thoroughly checked before we called off the search or the rescue operation?
No. Well, it is not completely over, because what that does is to take detailed information of everybody that have been affected by this. And in doing that, we will get to know whether some people are missing or not, because that report will be coming to us. But as I speak, we have not had that report yet. But what we have is that immediately after the incident, whilst they were identifying a place to move the people to, some of the survivors, actually a few of them, actually moved to relatives in the adjoining town.
Okay.
Example is Bogoso. Our staff is trying to collate a list of those who have moved to stay with their relatives, so that we can do a comparison of those at the safe haven and see if there's somebody missing, we can find a way of accounting for that person.
Okay, so the search, you would say, is not entirely
it's
over.
Not completely ended, because you see, as we speak, the actual count for the households, when you were having your intro, you saw that when we took the satellite imagery of the place, the number of houses captured by the searcher is about 140 plus. But we have not done the actual count. Normally, that will also be done on the ground to look at what other installations have been affected, what institution. Because for now, we know that a school, only one school has been affected, 2 churches has been affected. Maybe there are other social or other institutions or other things that have not come to that. But when they do the actual count on the ground, they might be able to get some other information and find some other things.
Okay, I know that various institutions are doing different investigations of this particular incident.
Yes.
I know NADMO, together with the police and some other institutions, are also working hand in hand. I don't know if NADMO is doing a separate investigation. What exactly is the status of the different investigations that are being conducted by the various institutions on this matter?
Well, but where we come in as an organization is when there are humanitarian issues. The main actors in this matter is the Ministry of Land, Ministry of Interior, where we also fall. And you know, there's already a committee set up to start investigations. And I'm sure you heard of the interdiction of one, just to make sure the investigation goes on as planned. So that is going on. For us, an organization, we are still having to deal with the humanitarian issues that have happened, taking care of the people that we have at the safe haven, trying to make sure that they regain their way of life to some extent in the shortest possible time.
Okay.
Immediately, that's what we are concerned about. Yes, the investigation, as it goes on, the report of it will be of interest to us to see how we can improve on the way we do things as an organization.
Okay. Well, I would definitely return to the issue about investigations amongst others. But let's go live to Ground Zero now. And my colleague Maxwell Agbagba is with us. He's been there since Thursday when the incident occurred and has joined us live on the ground. Maxwell, first off, there's this clarification that I need in terms of the name of the town, the pronunciation, and of course the spelling of that particular town. Since you've been interacting with them, you've been there for some time now. What are you gathering exactly when it comes to the name of this particular town?
So I've been finding out from the people and asking them what the make of the confusion surrounding the spelling of the name and its pronunciation itself. I've been engaging some opinion leaders in this community, and I met a man who told me that he was part of the first people who settled there in that community. And he was explaining to me that the spelling is Appiatse. But contrary to what he told me, a notice, a signpost that we saw in the community itself spells it as Appiatse. Another signpost we saw about some minutes drive away from the community itself gives it the spelling Appiatse. And that is what all the people here tell me should be the spelling for Appiati. And the MC is also here. I'm sure you've also noticed the confusion surrounding the spelling of the name of...
Yes. I also have about 2 versions of the spellings. I mean, but you know, some of these things, sometimes it comes from the names. So, and then probably some understanding. So I'm sure the word appear, you know, might connected to some people. So the person who settled there, and Appiati is just like maybe Appia is staying here or something like that. So that should be. You know, Ghanaians are, some of their names are actually, some of the towns are named after the, let's say, the people, the first person probably who settled the village.
Okay, so if you listen on radio, we have here with us Eric Dasamani.
Isaac Dasamani.
Isaac Dasamani.
Dasmani.
Yes. That's how you pronounce it.
Yes, Dasmani.
So we're learning the pronunciation of Dasmani.
It's Dasmani.
Okay, great. He's the Municipal Chief Executive for Ahuni Valley. We want to zoom into the conversation and find out. Just some minutes ago, we saw people moving some of the canopies here to another place. We were told that for the people who live here, you are taking them to a new place, a new spacious place, new accommodation will be provided for them. Can you provide us with details?
Yes, since the incident happened, you know, we're searching for a place that, and temporarily to keep them here. And then we approached the parish priest, and then he allowed us to host the victim here. But you can see that they are all around here. The place is too small for them. And then, you know, it's in the middle of Bogoso. And it's also a place, in terms of planning purposes, it's not helping us a lot. Yes, because if you look at the crowd, they are moving in and out, people coming here. So we are not able to identify actually the actual victims. It's when you come around, even though they know themselves, but if any stranger comes here, you see a lot of people around. So I think we sat down with a lot of people, the FGR. They gave us a very nice facility with 2 big halls, and then the small room that we can use as a clinic. And then we decided to also add some of the tents. So far, Goldfields brought us, they brought us 15, the big tent. And that one takes about 12 people per each tent. So, and then Ghana Red Cross too also brought us about 25 of them, and which they can also host about 120, between 120 to 150 people. So if we add those ones to the facility, we should be able to accommodate all of them there. And then we'll create the environment for them, because we have received a lot of relief items and we can't share them because of where they are now. Okay. So once we move them to that place, we can provide them with all the necessary, the utensils that they can use to cook themselves. We can distribute the food to them. We can find out, we can also let them attend clinics so that we can take proper care of them. That is my main mission. So since yesterday and today, we have been working just close from the site, and then we are going to continue tomorrow. So hopefully by close of tomorrow, we'll finish preparing the site, and by Tuesday morning or in the evening, we'll move them to the site, because we are creating the washrooms and then a place of convenience and all of that. There's already boreholes that have been drilled there, so I'm also going to buy a polytank, about 2 or 3 of them, and supply them with enough water, and then create some center for them where we can fit some TV there for them to. We are planning properly. Because when we send them there, probably it might take some time, because to do the planning phase. So we need to get a place that they may feel comfortable. Unfortunately, the place is just about 100 meters away from their farming areas. So they can easily go to their farms and then come back and stay there.
So they're mainly farmers?
Yeah, most of them are farmers.
We've seen drone footages of the extent of devastation, but you have been to the ground. Is it an entire community that is gone?
Yeah, if you look at the center where those things happen, especially very close to the road, almost all their buildings, so they are attached houses. And that actually saved a lot of lives, because of the attached houses and then there's mud houses. And then when the impact happened, some of them, it collapsed on them, but they were able to, come out from the debris. So yes, and then because it's not concrete rubbles and then but when you go beyond about 150 meters, you can see a very nice buildings, and those ones the impact was, I said, it ripped off the the roofs. So those ones we are thinking about probably if they start the reconstruction, we'll see whether we are able to provide some iron sheet for them so that those people can go back and stay there. Whilst the epicenter, those areas that are very close to the road, will be able to do something for them.
Okay. Another question that a lot of people are asking is about narrations out there. And you had MUSEC, the Municipal Security Council. So we just want to find out from you. Earlier in the day, I engaged the motorbike rider, and he was telling me that contrary to narrations out there that he collided with the vehicle transporting explosives, he said that did not happen. At the time the explosion happened, he was at the hospital. So the questions that are coming up is that, so really it wasn't an accident from the earlier narration that we got. So probably the motorbike was maybe on the road and then the incident happened.
No, but some of these things, we all live in this area and we understand the terrain very well. Yes, according to the eyewitness, some of these things I didn't initially want to go there. I was just thinking about the people. Okay. You understand? But my investigation and all the few people that I consulted or I talked to, actually the motor rider, actually collided with it went into the truck. And then he himself, but the motor went under the truck and it dragged the motor for some time. Yeah. And then motor caught fire. Yeah, under the tank. Yeah. So what happened? The driver got down and then he was shouting that people should run. Yeah. You understand? So those who actually listened to him, they started running. Yeah. And some people also picked their phones, and then because it started burning, according to them, it went on for some time before the blast. All right. Yeah, so it was the blast that actually,
So following that chronology, what it means is that the motorbike rider himself was not there when the incident happened. So the motorbike was maybe on the road, perhaps on the road.
Yes.
So the question that is coming up is that, so if the motorbike was on the road, and if we had an escort leading the explosive team, then he possibly should have seen the motorbike on the road.
I think, my brother, those things, let's leave it to the law enforcement agencies to do the investigation. I don't want us to preempt whatever happened there, right? Because there are people who are, they have also seen the driver, they have investigated, they are taking, their statement and all of that. So I think let's leave it to the law enforcement agencies to do their work.
Okay. But you talked about reconstruction. Are we looking at reconstructing the entire village?
Yes, because now the entire village is almost gone. Yeah, so now the planning stage. So what I'm doing right now, that maybe tomorrow I'll be having a MUSEC meeting, expanded MUSEC, where we are going to include the clergy, some of the pastors in town, the committee members, the assemblyman for the area, and then the rep from the town, about 3 of them. And then, we inaugurate a committee that will foresee some of these in the welfare of the people. And at the same time, also listen at the planning phase. Yes, because we have received a lot of relief items. As you rightly mentioned, CEO of Ghana Gas was here. He gave us 2 million Ghana cedis. Vice President came, 200,000 Ghana cedis. The other organization came, some people 10,000. And so tomorrow when we meet, we are going to open an account and then put all the monies in there. And then we use the money to take care of the people. Right? That's the main aim that I want to take them out from here. Once they are from here, you move them out from here, and then they are in the camp where we can have full control. Then we know when we are giving them some stipend, and then so that they can go about the activity. We should also be mindful that some of them are students. They are school children. How are they going to commit to school? So in terms of planning process, I'm considering all these things. And then look at some of the nearest schools that we can enroll all the school children so that we can get some bus to pick them to school. I mean, it's a real comprehensive thing that I've put on paper that we are going to implement. So I need to get people, I need to carry the community along with me so that at least they may also understand what I'm doing, just to help them to also at least come back to their normal life.
Let me admit, I'm quite impressed with the efforts at bringing relief to the people and the coordination, that is going on here. I want to find out, so if we want to reconstruct the community, what are we looking at bringing, maybe some new additions, social amenities, and all of that, and what role is the mining company that was supposed to take the of the explosive? What role are they playing?
Already the Chamber of Mines, their CEO was here yesterday. He also donated some some material, building material items worth about $50,000. I mean, there are so many pledges from other organizations, and Go First came, FGR. They even help us in diversion of the main road to allow vehicular movement. And then there's some other organizations, and then Precious Mines. They've all come in and they all pledge their support. I mean, the Rural Bank, Fiasmine Rural Bank is now even providing lunch for all the victims, and then so we have received a lot of support from the community and from all the players within the industry. So for now, even the company that actually caused the mess, I have not even seen them. Yes. I mean, my concentration now is possibly to look at the situation and try to resolve the problem. Then the rest, I mean, I'll leave it to the law enforcement, the actors in that industry. Of course, because there are some people who control the activities within the monitoring and then see the progress.
Okay. So before we go back to the studio, earlier you were telling us about the figures, the death toll. It has gone up by one person has died. Any idea when this person died?
Yes. I mean, I'm keeping very much close about all the people who injured. Yeah. And then those who also reported. Initially there was a report that a lot of people, when we got there, you could see a lot of people lying down, because of the blast. Some got unconscious and all of that. So when we sent some of them to the hospital, a lot of them were able to come back to life. Maybe because of the impact, they had some shocks and other things. I mean, so by the close of on the Thursday, the figure that I got has not changed that much. Yes, it's the figure that those who have reported after the incidents that has actually gone up.
Yeah.
Yes, because now we have about 256 people reporting to the hospital.
Okay.
Yeah, because of minor injuries, and some too because of the sound. It has affected their ears and all those things. So today we had to bring in some urologists to also look at them. I had that complaint, and some people too also brought their hospital bill to me. I mean, they went on their own. Right. Yeah. Yes. So we are still. That is why we have put the nurses and then the other here, so that they come around. They come around to take care of them. Right. Yeah. So if you look at the whole process, I mean, so we can say that for now there are about 14 people, who are dead, and then the about 5 are in critical condition now. 3 in Kumasi, 1 in Kolebu, and then there's 2 that this evening I got information that we need to refer him tomorrow to Cape Coast.
Okay, sure. So we'll be stopping here. We'll be crossing over to the studio, but we'll definitely come back to ask more questions. So MF5, over to you in the studio. We'll come back and then we'll still continue. We'll continue the conversation. We're from here, the St. Michael's Catholic Church.
But just before I let you off, Maxwell, you've been interacting with some survivors also on how they've been sleeping. What's their status? What can you talk about? Okay, well, we'll come back later to Maxwell for some survivor stories as well on how they're hoping to rebuild, amongst others. But as it stands now, one more person, unfortunately, has passed, bringing the death toll to 14. And it talks about 5 persons in a critical condition.
Yeah, that was one of the persons who was airlifted, I think, to Kolebu. And I think he said the next person will be moved tomorrow to the central region to Cape Coast.
Okay.
Yes, that will be the 5th person in critical condition. Yeah.
Well, the concern also is about this particular chemical involved, the ammonium nitrate, for instance. Looking at the drone shots and the impact, it appears it was very, very serious, devastating, to say the least, I'd say. But is there anything we're doing also to ensure that this chemical is not in the system as we speak?
Yes, I think the security agencies, especially the police and even the military, they have experts who deal in CBRN, which is chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear substances. And it is true that they have the protocols of handling, the protocols of transporting it and all that. And I'm sure that's what the investigation will be looking at. But I'm sure the teams, those teams that are experts will do some tests. I'm sure by all means they will do some test of the substance, whether there's still some of the substances in the atmosphere, or if it hadn't been a blast, or it has just been maybe a leakage and it has diffused into the atmosphere, maybe we might be
more
telling a different story now. So I'm sure the experts in the investigations, all these experts will come in to actually ascertain exactly what happened, what is the level of the substance or the gas in the atmosphere, in the environment. They will do all that.
Okay.
Yes.
It's rather unfortunate that Director General Public Affairs for the police, ACP Kusifori, is not with us now. We are unable to tell why, but he had agreed to be on the show tonight because there's a lot emerging that the police is also leading that we are hoping to get some clarity on, at least in the last few minutes. For instance, the motor rider, that said motor rider who was supposed to have crashed into this particular vehicle has been speaking to my colleague Maxwell Agbagba, and amongst others, he says he wasn't at the scene when the blast occurred. He says he was actually at the hospital because he was hit in the rear earlier before they even heard about that particular blast. He was in the hospital when he heard the blast, amongst others. That story is yet to be, refuted also by the police, but he's been interacting with him on it. It's something that will be delving deeper into it, whether there was actually a police escort with this vehicle. But what we are also getting is that when the incident occurred, we've seen videos of police officers trying to drive people away from the scene, but the residents were just kept on moving. We've seen videos also of subsequent blasts, and we don't know what has happened to some of these people. But let's talk about, as a people, when there's an accident, for instance, there's an occurrence, we tend to want to drive towards or move towards the scene rather than take precaution. How is it that we are not educating people enough when it comes to handling such situations?
Well, it goes two ways. When there is an incident, sometimes the very first responders are the community people who live there, because they may be the people who just witnessed the incident and may want to provide some help. But when it comes to issues that deals with chemicals, it is a very tricky thing. Sometimes to accidents, it is also very tricky. An accident occurs, you don't know what might happen next. You go near and, it is petrol, it is diesel, and combustible materials, and the whole thing goes up in flames. You might be affected if you go. So, the caution is always that if something happens, the authorities are there. We have, the police, we have NADMO, we have them everywhere in this country as we speak. Okay. If you are able to draw an expert's attention to it, it is better than the people themselves trying to go there. In this particular case, I hear even the driver, when he got off the truck and was running off, was warning the people that they should get away. But, curious as they are, they wanted to see what was happening, and unfortunately, this happened. So that attitude of trying to always be, in your introduction, you said a citizen journalist or something. To some extent, it's dangerous. It's quite dangerous because you never know what you might be, getting yourself into. And I'm very sure quite a number of the people who got injured are people who were going near the explosion scene.
Okay, let's hear from that motor rider. My colleague Maxwell Apagba has been interacting with him on his account of what exactly happened.
Chief, what's your name?
Philip Mensah.
Philip Mensah. Okay, great. Can you tell us exactly what happened?
The minimum ACA.
Now, would I ride motor?
Patchine.
Okay, tell us.
Namifi, Eshreso.
Okay.
And an Babugoso.
Now, friend.
Eshreso, Babugoso.
Okay.
But your Eshreso when you see.
Yeah.
And Tinami Babugoso. Timmy Bedrew, a quan on a Stanvik between.
And then
Stanvik car.
Okay.
But your like say urban type, no.
Yeah.
But a private one. And Timmy didn't chiefly. Eshreso junction, sir, and Eba.
Yeah.
A higher. Na plug yansu jina live fancy live we used to see ewa to ono tisi ono tisi stanvik nenim to ono tisi nenim no na stanvik ni ball break to ono ball break na me so me ball break ya meti anse me chichi o pan te ade kro ne boy infiri moto no so na ye free moto no so te me slide we ko ta no so see te me slide no na moto no so slide
yeah.
Pacha what masi.
Okay, it's car ben a bob. Can I cry?
Can I bomb me hunu because na emichi.
Okay. Okay. But sometimes that car na cry explosive no na
me hunu.
We hunu.
Pacha debi.
We hunu can I?
Pacha debi.
Okay.
Me hunu because me fi say na eba.
Okay.
Hanti me talk uta no so me slip na etani me see.
Yeah.
Ana me menim bedi this side.
Yeah.
Me nim sen ko this side see. Te honum na one guy bi no oye weather ho ahasi. And a taxi being known as a pack or bush na no honum.
Yeah.
To Monom rush me, Mukasef can I bought Philip and to Monom Bell rush me to taxi Moko as that hospital.
Okay.
And as that hospital, no, nurse for no buy some baby treat me. See me that all be 30 minutes or more, so Modin do baby treat me. And yet he said, be a blasted.
Okay.
It's at the end of blasting the next phone in Johnny to me cram me free bed and so I miss me Johnny. Because no more see a JB. To be a Johnny, to miss me Johnny. Say, you know, Mocasa, and ye Johnny, Johnny and Mahasi. Johnny and Mahasi, no mamma sent quite that bed and so. Within 15 minutes' time, then you won't say more day or more prepare be Eba Hospital.
Okay.
And to me now, me cry me decamp hospital or more treat me.
Okay.
Ha, more treat me because now I say, for condition here high, a chain me mediano. Into Mujai me median and no more share. To almost your more later and son of more bammy me one baby me.
Okay.
But you mean. Okay.
Inti, just oh, I didn't explode the crown. I won't need her. If we had a good hospital, crown son, I didn't explode.
Cla, Nemini Hakla. Nemini Hakla.
Okay.
And who beats me, I consulted as a doctor and nurse for now, or more normal woman who on Becca, they're making ya the scene.
Okay. Inti, just a car that cry explosives in the crowd. When car? Wow. Inti, just I didn't bow we na motor no car from I rush you the course, but I'm motor no the that form on.
It's a poor quanos.
Okay.
Nature quanos.
Inti, later cry na explosive car no Beshia.
And no, me name time I can't the baby shia, me motor because me no, the top from 9 D in be an a base in free her buyer. Madam better taxi in the McCoy. Okay. But what's massy?
Okay.
Aha.
Okay. Car from a ball and explosive car.
Patcher, baby. Can't I bomb you, Michi?
Okay. Wow. Did you see how some ways? You have to send a public. See, I like the motorbike. Although, so now we have
me feel bad, pa. If you say me an impact. And we are since ye hina ye nuanom enso e bia yeso me ma me kra na ye hina ye nimpa baako enti se eye me busuani bi kra wo mu a me busuani wo mu me busuani ni mu ye hina ye ade baako ne de eye me kra ya pa because me di ya wo makomo man kasa se because in some now akwa bontin obi a e kan de obi se me di kohia aka kese no obi kra se ma hye obi se me di wura aka kese na ase but Yankopon kwan onim.
So now we need her.
That's all.
Grandson is.
Patcho.
Okay. It's just when we explosive.
Patcho there.
Okay. Thank you. Okay.
Okay. Patcho where they are working.
Okay. So you've not had any music.
So that's the motorbike rider there telling us his account of what transpired that day. He refutes the claim that he rode into the truck that was carrying the explosives that day that led to the explosion that has killed, we are told now, 14 persons, left several others displaced and a lot more injured as we speak. So you've been hearing him tell his account of what transpired that day. He says he was actually in the hospital when the explosion occurred. He was not at the scene because it's interesting that he's still alive, because if he actually rode under the truck, there was no way we would have survived and to tell the story as we speak. So that's the situation. We are also yet to hear from the truck driver, who we're told also survived. So it still raises the question about whether there was a police escort in front of the truck. I'm seeing a letter. We're picking up, the security desk has just picked a letter. Later on, we would let everyone see the protocols that we are told the company went through to get police escort. But as to whether they actually got the police escort is also something else that we are probing into, and the security desk here are joining. So we're looking into that, and as and when we get more, we'll bring it to you. Unfortunately, Director of Public Affairs, Kwesi Fori, is not here with us tonight, and we're hoping that he'll be here to give us some answers and some of these developments that are coming up on this particular incident. We know they are leading investigations into it. The police sitrep we got also tells us that there was a police escort, and that together with the truck driver, they moved into the town to evacuate some students that were in school at the time, when we were told that some residents ignored their warning to move away from the scene. But these are developing issues and subjects of investigation. But the concern earlier, we were talking about the fact that how people do not take it seriously when incidents of such nature occur. Natmo, you should be interested also in this particular investigation. We tend to investigate these incidents, yes, and mostly nothing comes out of it.
Well, no. What happens is that when these investigation reports are out, institutions that need parts of it to improve or reassess their way or try to look at it and improve their SOP, standard operation procedures, so that, they respond better when an incident of such nature occurs, unfortunately, again. So every institution is interested in the investigation and what will come up. And I'm sure all these bits and pieces that you are gathering, all this information will go to the committee, and I'm sure the committee will unravel exactly what happened and whether the company that was doing the transportation of the explosive actually followed the protocols. And that will, I'm sure that will be established. And as I said, as an organization, for us and the municipal chief executive, Dr. Isaac Dasmani, said it clearly that for us as an organization, our concern is dealing with the humanitarian crisis or issues that have come out of this. And the MC, per our structure, he is the chairman of our disaster management committee. That I always say that at the district level, we have that standard committee that responds to disasters. Before anything occurs, their duty is to have a disaster management plan and look at how they can educate people, warn people about the possible hazards in the community or in the locality they have, and the do's and don'ts. And I think they are doing quite well as a municipality in getting all the agencies together, because the director of, district director of health service, district director of education, the agric ministry rep, the security agencies, fire service, they are all members of this committee. And as and when they want to bring somebody in, they do, especially maybe the assemblyman of the area that the thing happened, or maybe an expert who has knowledge on CBRN, be part of the committee. Because he mentioned they will be having a meeting very soon. And out of that will come, they will set up a committee which will actually manage this whole process until such a time that the people can go about their daily activities freely. Because he said earlier that most of them are farmers. Their farms are not too far away from the community. So even where they are going to start settling them from tomorrow, they can start going back to their farms gradually as government takes steps to work on the reconstruction of.
But what is the expectation? We don't know in terms of the investigations. How far we're expecting it to travel, how soon we're supposed to get at least the preliminary findings in terms of what has happened and where we are with it and going forward. Do we have any timelines? Do you happen to know?
No, I don't happen to know. I think the details will come from either the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources or the police. The police also carrying out their investigations as well.
Okay. Well, there was a lady who was supposed to get married yesterday, I'm told, in one of the churches that collapsed. My colleague, Maxwell Agbagba, will go back to him. He caught up with him. But before we do that, we'll take a quick break here on The Probe. Thankfully, we'll have a little time in terms of extension so we can cover this comprehensively. It will actually continue also on all our platforms and also on myjoyonline.com. Let's take a quick break. We are right back. Thank you so much for staying with us here on The Probe. My guest tonight is Saji Amedonu. He's the Deputy Director General, NATMO. We're also expecting, he was supposed to be on the show today, the Director General, Police Public Affairs. For some reason, I hope he's safe, but he hasn't been able to join us today. We don't know why. We are unable to explain. 1,000 apologies for his absence here on the show tonight. But that's so unlike him, so we're hoping that there must be some good reason for his absence tonight here on The Probe. But senior member of our security desk, Maxwell Agbagba, is live on the ground. We go back to him and he's interacting with a woman who was supposed to get married yesterday in one of the churches that has collapsed as a result of the explosion. He'll be interacting with her. Maxwell, if you're ready, we're eager to hear.
Drive from where the incident happened, the explosion happened. This building right behind me is serving as a shelter for a little over 300 people who have been displaced. It's past 9 p.m., but there's still a lot happening here. What you can see happening behind me is a queue. I don't know what they are sharing, but it looks like a long queue. People waiting to get what the distribution, what they are distributing there. But we know that 14 people have so far died. Another person who was affected by this is this woman I'm about to speak to. Her name is Benedicta Morgan. Today was supposed to be her wedding day. But guess what? The church where the wedding was supposed to take place completely destroyed. Roofing sheets completely destroyed, musical instruments all destroyed. Her wedding was actually called off because of the explosion. Now she lives with her husband-to-be in the same community, and now the two of them are homeless. Sad twist of fate there. Benedicta, you're welcome to join us. Kashame, nanka say with your wedding, Thanksgiving near the day. And I some see we at home. Kacha and preparations gonna know why yourself for the wedding as some we see.
I feel like I want one. I to be very and Saturday and Sunday.
Okay, she says she's lived with her man for the past 6 years, and this is the time that they were ready, after putting resources together, this is the time that they were ready to get married. Saturday and Sunday today. That was when the disaster struck. Once a wedding, the Amuya preparations are catering near the day and sign, near the day. And see, when you know, Sena, I sense here. Which one in Tumane wedding gown in Nashi. Munyamu Nashi. In Siaukno emphasis here. Golden Hotel. Well, what she's saying is that all the items that they bought for the wedding completely destroyed by the fire that gutted their homes after the explosion. She says the wedding gown that they bought also completely destroyed. In fact, everything they bought for the wedding destroyed. She's also been talking about how they paid for food, drinks, and other things that they were going to use for the wedding on Saturday and Sunday, but all of that destroyed now. She says their homes also destroyed, and that is why she's part of the displaced persons living here. Now, another sad thing about this, and it's sister. One sister. When we did it, sister, wo oboa wo near the idea no. Explosion is here no. You see that the war. Catch about
it. It's serious. See, a baby are done. It's sad for some way.
Or the hospital is here.
Takwa Government Hospital.
Takwa Government Hospital. Old one. It's an old one, and I know one.
And I'm poor. Friend Grace mother. Sad for some way.
Nidiana Banner, not in infant side. Not in infants and assembly.
You saw what kind of pay.
Okay.
Now, when you be see. So you done now when you blast him in Besson.
That you're born in name. It's your Oh. Well, she says her sister, Grace Morgan, sells by the side of the road, very close to ground zero. She says at the time that the explosion happened, she was by the side of the road in a shop selling. She tried escaping, but no, she couldn't. And then she got affected. She says as it stands now, she cannot walk. She tells me that she's been hospitalized at the Takwa Government Hospital. She was there yesterday to see her. But I'm also not more a kind of Anna. No more than a kind of.
Hey, washing.
No more washing. Answer the explosion is here.
You say, motor be a beshifon. Motor before and Chebiana cannon to be do. And Timoto no when Eshilia and a Quasha canasi.
Okay.
When a cannon, a better. So when I say,
Percent material somewhere I see. As a motor rider no catcher and said, timer, car na cra explosives no. Eba na unu hobby. Nti motor no at all. And a car na cra explosives no.
Motor didn't come share so crans and
car na cra explosives no ba. Nti
when no yana and China can appear one tea. Motor no nature no. And I know when quite social canasi. So one now when to train ma a journey film.
Okay, nti time a motor no to no, o sha na e kwan dem, ene car na crash explosives no, e kwan dem a anka driver na ko betumi ehu se e bia motor da ho ma men be.
Driver na ko no mo save motor ni run. And I when ko sha asema na vans.
Okay. Well, interesting narration. She's also, giving us here. She says the driver who was carrying the explosive actually tried saving the motorbike rider. She says when the motorbike rider actually fell off the motorbike, by some way that I cannot really process at this point, the motorbike actually got under the vehicle, and that was what caused the explosion. And you see, where the name at the Adeni, what was it done? I said, when you need it.
Inyanya winning.
Inyanya winning.
Then it's can I didn't. Inyanya shed it. And I'm one more.
Yeah.
Taffy, baby, Nana.
Yeah, definitely. She's telling me that as it stands right now, they've indefinitely called off the wedding because of the many lives that have been lost from their community, and then also because all the resources that they invested now has gone down the drain. So really, they've postponed the wedding indefinitely. Last question. Wuni microphone mu ya wuni mu bi. Mate obinka say Suarez.
Suarez me wa fanaba.
Oh. So another gentleman, a lot of the people here have been talking about, a lot of the community members who have visited have been talking about is Suarez. All the community members have been eulogizing him and saying a lot of good things about him. She's telling me that the Suarez that they have been talking about is a relative. No, Yako. Why? Why? Okay. But that's the same with me. strength. I wouldn't in Kasaya. Why? Okay. Why? Okay. Thank you. Good night. Okay. So that's Benedicta Morgan. That's her story. Heartbreaking story. But her story mirrors what many of the people here experienced. Some of them lost their children, some of them lost their husbands, some of them lost their wives in that incident that happened at Apinti. But this is the building that they are occupying now. Very soon they'll be going to bed, they'll be going to sleep. They just finished supper. In fact, these speakers that you can see here, I'm told, provided some kind of music for them. And some of them, when we got here, were dancing to the music that was being played, some gospel music, comforting music. And I'm sure they found solace in some of the lyrics. And so you could see them dancing to the songs that were being played here. Tomorrow, the assembly will be moving them to a new location, a more spacious location, a place where a lot of other things, will be provided for them, lavatory and all of that. The first day when we came, there were no tents here, but now the Red Cross Society has provided additional, tents. We want to take you inside so you can see inside and see what it is like, how you're sleeping here, and why the new accommodation, the more spacious place, space will be very important, for them. Usually when you come here during the day, you find the children jumping around, having fun. Many of them do not know the enormity of the disaster that struck their community. You find their parents sitting on benches, with their hands supporting their chin, their hands cupped under their chin, thinking about where the next, where the next roof over their heads is going to come from. Let's try and see if so we'll not get inside a little too much. We don't want to breach any privacy, but this is what it looks like in here. Maybe my camera technician can come a bit closer so you have an idea of what it looks like and how close the mattresses are. The assembly says hopefully by tomorrow, they'll provide a more spacious accommodation, for the people. So this is what it looks like in here. Yeah. This is where they'll be spending the night. They've been here since Thursday. Hopefully when the new accommodation comes, a lot more relief, a lot more space for the affected persons. All the people you see here have heartbreaking stories. Some of them is double agony, double pain, double tragedy for them. Whilst they're feeling the pains of their wounds, they're also feeling the pain of the loss of their beloved ones. Yeah. So this is what it looks like in here. We want to show you the other side. The assembly says a more spacious place will be made available for them tomorrow. And hopefully the reconstruction also that will be taking place. We are told by authorities that they will expedite action on that. So hopefully they can get to go back to their homes and where they came from. Earlier someone told me that some of them are saying that they want to go back to the village. But the entire village, the entire community has been cordoned off now. It's impossible for them to go there. It's a lot of noise in here. I'm wondering how they'll be able to sleep, or they are able to sleep. A lot of children crying, some of them screaming. This is a sad reality. And this place is just for the women and children here. The men have been relocated to the Golden Hotel, where they are being kept. Here, at least, they are provided meals, breakfast, lunch, supper, sometimes desserts as well. This woman you can see there, earlier told me about a story how she tripped. You can see she's still nursing her wounds. There are many people like her like that. I don't know what the message is. I think okay. Want to hear what she said? Yeah, go ahead. Okay.
Wouldn't you say, "Oh, Banya Savilaka, Abo"? Wouldn't you say, "Oh, baby, no, Nya Savilak Libya"? Yadi Biba. Who make sure some Palani did you a cup, no, Mudidi Muno, who make you fine. Wouldn't you say, "Won't Jare or Bana for Jareno"? Nabon a diaper. A man when you're pint in a party, Nina. Would we are monster summer when I'm on the study and a chair mono? The California me ye modemoto no may quite Namea Dumana Pameba. Monshe a tray and a Pameba no sanitation officer no. Now I shall more prepare Hanina. Mepamoton Samatiana. Obia one a banner diaper, Sadia and a banner from Musa Yadosu Waha. Yeah, the air refreshment so as you see around. More beyond France and a bag. More fancy as I have a young Pamotomate. Aha, no more dance one. And to mana your mamma on a young Casamon fancy. Yes, I'm on Fanny Nana. I am a proud 90 me call.
Well, that is the message. So the woman is telling them to make sure that the babies are in diapers. Because there are many of them here, and this place will be a mess if they don't know where their diapers. So she's urging them to make sure their children are in diapers. She says for those who do not have food for their children, they should come outside and get some food for their children. So many of them are moving outside. Hopefully tomorrow the relocation will happen. When it happens, we'll be more comfortable. So, this is what it looks like. This is what it is like here at St. Michael's Catholic Church. This building, which is serving as a shelter for the displaced persons. Over to you in the studio, Mifa.
That's my colleague Maxwell Agbagba reporting from the St. Michael's Catholic Church. There near the Apieti where this incident occurred is between Bogoso and Bordier, and that's the sad state of it. Thankfully, we have a number of survivors, and that's their state as we speak. We are told they are well taken care of, and Maxwell has been interacting with that woman who was supposed to get married, but unfortunately can't do that just yet. And Mr. Saji Amadonu is with me in the studios. We'll wrap up at this point. He's the Deputy Director General, NATMO. Earlier painted a picture to us that they've been able to, bring relief to some of these persons there, and it appears that we're seeing some semblance of it. And
the relief efforts will continue. And as I said earlier on, they are moving everybody to the new site. They are working this night, even as we speak, they are still there working to make sure they get them decent places, washrooms and all that. Some tent donations have come in, and where they are going was supposed to be a place that one of the mining companies was building for resettlement of a group of people. So they are moving them there temporarily, and that's why they have the tents to support.
Is it close to the area? Where exactly is that?
Yes, close to at the Apiati area.
Okay.
But where they are now is actually at Bogoso.
Okay.
The St. Michael's Church is actually at Bogoso. So they moved them from the place to Bogoso. It's about, I hear that Apiati itself is about 10 minutes drive from there to Bogoso. It's just about 10 minutes drive.
Okay.
So when that happens, when the movement happens, then the other issues of children going to school will also have to come in. And the MC assures that they are making frantic efforts to make sure that even at the new place they will be going, some schooling can start. Because actually, Apiati had only a primary school. Okay. They don't have a JHS. So it's a primary school, and that school has been affected. Here the structure was not raised down, but the roofing of the structure is completely gone. Okay. So they will be making some temporary arrangements for the kids to start going to when they move to the new place.
And so how about the road?
The road, what I know immediately, what has happened is that they have been able to make some parts of the place more travel, so that travelers from other places who use that road can use and get back on the main road. But I hear they are working seriously on making sure the crater that is covered. And as part of the team at the incident command were people from even the highway too, who are also looking at the aspect of making sure the road is completely motorable again. So hopefully we are sure that very soon life will return, things will come back to normal.
And this will be at the tent, but what happens to the ground itself, where the incident occurred, the Apiati itself? Is there a plan for it? I know that you finish rescue, you're looking at, but what happens to the town itself?
So as we settle them temporarily, we'll be looking at the medium to long term. And you know, government has already assured the people through the vice president that they will do everything possible to make sure that they have their lives back. And I'm sure all other things will follow if temporarily they are okay and they can go about their daily activities, going to the farm and all that normally. We are sure that, the district assembly with all the heads of agency are doing all they can. We must commend them that in this particular situation they have acted quite swiftly and tried as much as possible to bring some relief to all the people affected, especially the displaced people.
Well, and the investigations, which is also underway, hopefully whoever is found negligent, or whether it's somebody's or institution's negligence that led to this situation, we're told that will definitely be punished. We are hoping that this will not be another disaster that will just have an investigation and nothing really happens. We will not even see the report, let alone hear that anybody has been punished.
We are quite certain that the investigative report that will come out, what is even more important is the actions that will follow after the report is out. Apart from those who are culpable, those who maybe have been negligent or done something that has led to this unfortunate incident, the actions that will follow for institutions, for even the assembly, for the mining companies and all that, that will make all of us, do things in such a way that we don't have a reoccurrence of this unfortunate incident is what is important if the report comes out, or when the report comes out, yes.
Okay.
The actions that will follow is quite important for all of us.
Well, but one thing that ran through at least most of the questions that I got earlier before we started the show is the concern that NATMO, as we have it, it's not adequately prepared when it comes to dealing with situations that confront you. Maybe you should just give that assurance to the people. Of course, you can never be prepared for a disaster, but it's how you respond to it is a concern.
It is maybe how you also look at the organization or you look at disaster response in its entirety. I have always said anytime I have the opportunity to say that disaster management is a collective responsibility. That is why even our operations are hinged on the district assembly. You have the district chief executive, who is the chairman of our disaster management committee at every district in this country. The district chief executive has all the agencies under him. He's able to commandeer any resource at the district level to attend to any situation. So when there is, like this incident, as soon as it happened, you saw all the agencies were at play. And there was some coordination. NADMO was seriously involved in this. And you saw that items were lifted. We airlifted those items actually to them. Those items were actually airlifted because we needed to get to them that evening. So by that evening, they were able to get some relief. Because that was when they were moving the people to St. Michael. And there, they will need mattresses, they will need mosquito coil, they will need mosquito nets, they will need food items and all that. So we're able to manage and do such a, yes, I don't see any agency in this country which is self-sufficient. So I will also not, sit here and say that NADMO, I don't know how to put it, but we are doing our best in the current circumstances that we find ourselves.
Okay. We're grateful for your time tonight. Thanks so much for spending your Sunday evening with me. That's Saji Amadonu, who is the Deputy Director General, NADMO, live from our Kokomlemle studios here. Also live from Bogoso is my colleague, Maxwell Agbagba, a senior member of the security desk here at Joy News, joining us for tonight's edition of the probe. Once again, a million apologies for the Director General of Public Affairs, for the police, ACP Kwesi Furi's inability to join us tonight. I'm not able to explain why, but as and when I get some explanation, I'll give it to you. I am MFA Pau. There's more news when you log on to myjoyonline.com. Another edition of the probe comes your way, same time here on the Joy News channel. On behalf of the entire team, we say many thanks for your company. Have a good evening.